We've got preseason football this week for the New York Jets. We've got a joint practice for the New York Jets this week, and so much more. Plus, a special guest with some brand new digs. Let's get it.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
I made it clear that my intention was to play, and my intention was to play for the New York Jets.
Let's go, baby. Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Every.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your friggin' podcast. And let's bring in a special guest here on a Monday. There's a lot of alliteration here. Mondays, Matt O'Leary. Let's bring him here on the gosh darn program. What is up? Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Paul. Thank you so much for having me on this morning. Excited. Jets football kind of officially back this week with the first preseason game. So all good things.
But before we get to any of that jazz, what about the new studio, man? The new digs. People are saying there could be a future MTV Cribs Jet Studio edition, and you may be the first guy there. And I see that beautiful neon sign behind you. Give some deets on the new digs, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So my fiance and I moved into our new house in the end of July. So used the last couple weeks to get it up to speed and where I want it to be. But yeah, I posted the video on Saturday night. I did a little behind the scenes look because when I moved in, people were like, "Oh, you got to show off the new studio when it's done," and I kept getting asked about it. So I was like, "All right, let me finish it first. I want it to be like ready, and then put out the video. It was a lot of people really liked it. That made me happy, but I'm very excited to be in here and doing content from this space.
How long were you at your old place doing videos for? How long was the period of time?
Yeah, I mean, from when I started, so 7 years ago, probably.
So was it a little, I don't know, sad, something when you're breaking it all down, or you're just kind of, the old dad putting a hand on the hip, giving it one last look like, yeah, things happened here. There were some stories that were told before you started making the new place at the new house.
Yeah, it was definitely bittersweet because very obviously, moving into our first home was very exciting, but at the same time, like you said, it was tough seeing that room empty and just thinking about like, man, even going back before I started doing videos, but like when I was in college, I was, writing on the side because I knew I wanted to get into the sports, like digital side of things, whether it's like writing or video podcast. I knew I wanted to do it all. So for honestly, probably close to 10 years, I was doing stuff from there. But yeah, it was a lot of great memories there, and excited to make some new ones here.
Well, cheers to another 10 years, brother. Hopefully, we're both still doing this thing in a decade. There's no question about it. All right, we're going to get into a lot of stuff today. We have the preseason game coming up this week, the joint practice coming up this week. But I want to get to immediately is, and I wrote a column about this. Now, normally, you're not supposed to judge. That doesn't affect us content creators. But normally, for people, you're supposed to wait 3 years before you judge a draft pick, before you judge a draft class. Give them some time to marinate. Again, those rules don't apply to us. We can judge them immediately. That's just how the rules work. But Robert Saleh was at the presser, and he had some bold things to say about two rookies. And I wanted to play those video clips and then highlight them and get the reaction from Matt Gosh darn O'Leary. So let's start with this one. Here's a clip. Both of these are from after the scrimmage that took place on Saturday. Jets had a day off yesterday. The Jets are back in action today. Let's play clip numero uno. Let it roll.
Stiggers seems like it's always a guy that's been making plays each and every day. Just kind of what you say from him throughout the 10 days.
We're pleased with him for sure. Definitely got an NFL corner, and now we're trying to figure out whether or not he's a starting NFL corner. And I think he's just got great patience at the line of scrimmage. He's very smart, not smart, book smart, but just so instinctive, ahead of his years with regards to route recognition and understanding concepts. But he's another one that we're all looking forward to seeing against other opponents because we think he's got a chance to be pretty damn good.
Damn. definitely have an NFL corner. Now we're trying to figure out if we got a starting corner. Matt, and you've been in this era with me as a fellow Jets fan. The Jets have drafted 5th-round draft choices, and sometimes they haven't made the team. But in the first year of them being drafted, and we're saying from Salah a couple months in, like, yeah, we got an NFL corner here that's going to be on this roster. But, like, now we got to figure out if he's starting. Wow, those are some pretty bold words from Salah, especially coming from a guy who's got this great defensive background and great history developing talent.
Yeah, I think you have to be really excited about Qwan'tez Stiggers. And, as you mentioned, you kind of just naturally want to pump the brakes a little bit because you don't want to get like ahead of yourselves. But it's hard not to with this kid. And look, I'm not saying he's going to be a starter this year. I think it's pretty locked in that DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, and Michael Carter will be the 3 starters. But I think we all or most realize that the Jets have a tough decision to make this offseason with Michael Carter and DJ Reed. And I think there's a very real possibility that DJ Reed is not back after this year as they elect to pay Michael Carter. And unfortunately, in the NFL, you can't keep everybody if you want to stay under the salary cap and then also pay your 2022 draft class that's coming up very, very soon. So these are the tough decisions you have to make, but it makes life a little bit easier if you have this day 3 guy kind of just waiting in the wings and develop for a year. And I think Qwan'tez's story is so awesome. I know we heard it for when he was drafted, but had to do a ton of persevering to get where he is. And I know it's early, but he looked good in OTAs and then mini camp. And now it's transitioning into training camp as well. So I can't wait to watch him in the preseason games against other teams and other competition. But I think the Jets have somebody who maybe can start for them down the line.
Are we still so we just talked about earlier, we started the show with your brand new studio, and that when I wasn't there, but I don't know why I'm saying we. But anywho, when you were there, you were breaking it all down. Then you looked at like the room empty and break it down. You like felt some feelings, that big gangly 6'12" body of yours, and feelings were vibing through there. To your point, as I get excited for Qwan'tez Stiggers, because naturally the story was awesome, but I tried to pump my brain. I'm like, come on, he's a 5th-round draft choice. Anyone could have taken this guy earlier if they thought he was the next coming. So like, let me chill. But the plays keep happening, and then Salah's saying these things. I'm like, man, okay, maybe this is the real thing, and the Jets have just found this gem. But at the same time, I'm like, boy, that doesn't sound very good for DJ Reed, who has been this wonderful Jets free agent. And it's almost like this coming to story of like, damn, like we're realizing at the beginning that this may be DJ Reed's last year. And there seems to be, at least my sense, the temperature of the Jets fan base, we've all kind of accepted it already, which again, at some level makes me sick because like, man, DJ Reed is an awesome player. He's had a great story. And that's a story I would love to continue with the Jets. But again, maybe there's just that realization, those same feelings you were having with that room being broken down, that we're looking at it right now, that this is the last year for DJ Reed, which just makes me want to enjoy and make this year as special as possible. So, if it is his last year, as it appears to be, that it could be one that we remember forever.
Yeah, exactly. And it's tough to come to that realization. Like in a perfect world, I would love to have DJ Reed back on this team. And, all the guys who are free agents that you'd like to keep, but that's, not the reality in a capped sport. And it is interesting though, like as you said, the season hasn't really even technically started yet, but everyone's kind of just assuming like this is going to be it for DJ Reed. And sure, there's a chance that maybe he does come back, but I think when like looking at this and trying to plan it out logically, like what route do the Jets go? Who do they keep? Where do they kind of find a younger, cheaper option? That's one that just jumps out that seems to make the most sense. And I think their in-house guys will get their first, the first look. So Qwan'tez Stiggers will get the first look for it. But, that also doesn't mean that they can't go out in the draft and, get someone in an earlier round or maybe in the bargain bin of free agency and find someone. But with the history that Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich, and the rest of this defensive coaching staff has, you kind of give them the benefit of the doubt that they're going to be able to figure out no matter who they plug in there.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. Again, we have Matt friggin' O'Leary here on the program, baby. The Matt O'Leary. Make sure you guys check out his channel and follow him on that social media handle you see on the screen at Matt O'Leary NY. Thank you to the 250 people that are in the room right now. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe, keep those good juices flowing. So, Stiggers, arrow up. Great to hear. And again, a 5th-round pick. We've had Jets 5th-round picks. Again, they're drafted in April and cut by August. So not ideal. This one looks pretty gosh darn good. Now, Salah also went out of his way to talk about Olu Fashanu. Again, I repeat the initial phrase that technically speaking, to give a proper draft pick time to marinate and things, you got to wait 3 years. That gives them enough of a sample size to be able to judge. But Salah, some of the things he was saying, including Olu Fashanu, the 1st-round draft choice, number 11 overall, he just said this. Let's react to this one.
Rookies, what are you seeing from
Olu? You know, he's another guy. I'm really looking forward to seeing him with go against other players. He's very strong in his lower half. He is a sponge, an absolute sponge. Technician in every sense of the word, and very smart, very willing. Definitely did not miss on that kid.
when a left tackle comes into the NFL as highly as he was drafted? What's the big
Cut it off there. There's more to the clip, but the wow comment was there. We definitely did miss on the kid. Good Lord. Again, we're like only a handful of months in, and the Jets, unfortunately, whether it's the, pour one out, get your drinks out, everybody. The Louisville Slugger. Ah, yes, of course. Quentin Coples. Ah, D. Milners. Ah, yes. We could go through the long litany of history going way back to Dwayne Robertson's or anyone here on the Kyle Wilson. What a guy. We have all those guys, unfortunately, in our history. But Salah saying already in the month of August, mere months after, that we definitely did not miss on that guy. Matt O'Leary's first thoughts when he heard those words are what?
I agree with him. And again, like I tried to not get ahead of myself or like take time and not jump to conclusions. But man, I was a huge fan of Olu Fashanu coming out of college. And when the Jets drafted him, I was really excited about it because I knew he was going to have the opportunity to sit and learn, but behind 2 greats in Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses at tackle. And with both those guys' injury history and their age, like both guys 33 years old and were injured last year. At some point this season, Olu's going to have to play. It's a matter of when, not if, for me. And I think he could handle it. I think he's shown that in training camp. Like, he's someone where you haven't heard his name a ton. And for an offensive lineman, that's usually a good thing. If you're not hearing their name, it means he's doing his job. I know in the green and white scrimmage in the second half, he seemed to be a little bit rocky. I think Will McDonald got him and Jermaine Johnson got him. But in the first half, I thought he held up pretty strong. And that's going to happen for a young offensive lineman. But in the preseason, like, I don't expect to see a ton of Tyron Smith or Morgan Moses, like, at all. So that means we're going to see significantly more of Olu Fashanu. And I'm excited for that because I think the Jets did get a good one. His pass blocking was really impressive to me when watching, his tape before the draft. And I do think he's going to be a good one for the Jets.
The Jets have continued to say that they plan on keeping Olu Fashanu exclusively at left tackle, that he will back up Tyron Smith or start in what you're talking about. There's been veteran rest days. For instance, the scrimmage was a veteran rest day for Tyron Smith, which meant more action for Olu. So there's going to be that throughout camps. There's going to get a lot of opportunities in training camp in the preseason. But they continue to say publicly that Olu he's not practicing at right tackle. It's exclusive to left tackle. Do you agree or disagree with that decision by the Jets?
A slight disagree. I'm not anything that I'm going to go like nuts over and say that the Jets are making this massive mistake. But in a perfect world for me, I would be comfortable playing him on the right side if Morgan Moses was hurt. Like, I just think that in comparison, the level that Olu is versus a Max Mitchell or Carter Warren, like, I'd rather Olu out there. And if, let's say, Tyron Smith is, still fully healthy and Morgan Moses gets banged up for a couple weeks and the Jets go, all right, well, we're going to put Max Mitchell out there for the 2-3 games and keep our first round pick that you have waiting in the wings on the bench because it's not the left tackle that got hurt. That seems a little stubborn to me, but I understand why they're trying to do it. Like, they want him to be the left tackle of the future, kind of not mess with it. and I get that, but for this year, that's not really his role, in my opinion. I think his role is essentially the swing tackle spot. So if any, lineman, left side or right side, gets hurt at the tackle position, I think Olu should be the one that's coming in. But clearly, the Jets just kind of want to keep him on the left side.
All right, Matt, you've opened up Pandora's box. I was waiting for the right guest to go in those waters where you're like, hey, you know what? I'd prefer him to be the swing guy. So now, because you seem to be willing to do that in your waters, I ask you this. With Morgan probably not going to play a ton because he just got back into the team drills, so he's just slowly getting along. Remember, torn pec last year, had the surgery, so he's going to be on this pitch count. It seems like for the foreseeable future coming up here. With Olu getting a lot of action, if Olu looked awesome and Morgan has just been what he is, which he's a really solid guy. I don't think he's ever going to be, the best right tackle in football, but I don't think he's ever going to be the worst. He's just going to be rock solid, which is a great guy to have. I'm curious if Olu Fashanu blows the barn doors off, like he looks amazing in the preseason and training camp and joint practice opportunities, which will be another test for him. That's coming up on Thursday again. More on that in a few minutes. Would you be willing to start Olu straight up at right tackle over Morgan Moses if he balled out?
Yeah, I think I would. And then that just has Morgan as, you could either maybe play him at guard if John Simpson or Elijah Vera Tucker either get hurt, or, maybe if because to me, John Simpson feels like the weaker, not that he's bad, but just when looking at the starting five, he seems like he could be the weak link on the five. So if he gets out to a slow start, and he's not making a ton of money, so it wouldn't be like shocking to have him in a backup role, but I would be comfortable with it, but I don't think that's something that's going to happen. I think the Jets starting five, they feel pretty confident in what the starting five is going to look like. And I don't think they're going to mess around and move guys around. I think they have a plan and they want to stick to it. But for me, like if it was up to me, I wouldn't be nervous about switching Olu's side and having him start at right tackle if he was ready.
All right, there you go. Matt Gosh darn O'Leary, baby. On Thursday, we'll have a joint practice between the New York Jets and the Washington Commanders. The Jets are tied for the second most joint practices of any teams in the league. The Rams are number one. They have 4 joint practices scheduled. The Jets have 3, 1 per each team. So we'll have Commanders this week, Panthers the following, Giants a week after that. I'm just kind of curious your take. Are you a fan of joint practices or not? Because there's been a lot of Jets analysts / fans. Some have been all for it. Some have been against it. Where does Matt O'Leary stand?
It makes me nervous. I just think back to that 2021 season against the Packers where Carl Lawson goes down. And if I remember correct, I think Mekhi Becton got banged up in that practice too.
Could have been,
yeah. He obviously came back and played in week 1, but I just remember it being like, everyone's heads falling off, like what's happening here. Like Carl Lawson, it gets hurt, we're gonna miss him for the year, and then like an offensive lineman's getting banged up, man. But I think they, being the NFL teams, really like it. They feel like they get a lot out of it, and preseason's very different now where the starters don't really play a whole lot. So if they think that it's beneficial for them getting up to speed and they use it as almost like a scrimmage or game situations, then I don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
Okay. All right. So outside of injuries, which again, we hope all of those are avoided both in regular training camp practices and let alone these joint practices, what are you looking forward to on this first joint practice between the Jets and Commanders on Thursday? What's on your list of things you'd like to see?
I think it's going to be how the offensive line holds up against the different defensive line, because obviously the Jets have a team that has a very good defense, and it feels like it's depended on the day what units looked better. Like some days I think it was clear that the defense got the better of the offense. Other days it looks like the offense has won. So I'm curious, like Washington, I don't think is going to be on this elite level of defense. They're not. I wouldn't say they're a horrible defense. They have talent on that side of the ball, but it's not going to be at the same level as the Jets. So, does that yield a better result from the offensive line? How are they performing? Are they building that chemistry? Do they still look out of sync? That's kind of what I'm looking for, I guess, is really more things on the offense. I feel like we know, like the defense is going to be good. We know the defense is going to be good. So there's not as much to look for on that side, but Offensively is kind of just like, do we start to see the consistency a little bit more?
Because, boy, that Washington defense has got some talent. Their front four is Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne on the inside, who are both terrific. They also got Jimmy Newton on that side from the draft this year. They got Dante Fowler, Jr., Dorrance Armstrong, who came over from the Cowboys, and former Jets legend Frankie Louvu is in the linebacking core for Washington. They also brought in Bobby Wagner this offseason, too. So that front seven is pretty tasty. So I agree. Seeing some of that trench warfare, actually, like, we're all hyping up. Oh, Tyron Smith, this guy, and I think it's legitimate hype, but to actually test themselves against some pretty talented front, and Dan Quinn, who obviously has the connection to Robert Saleh from their Seattle days. Oh yeah, that is pretty gosh darn good. Yes, Finnegan, you're right. The great Matt O'Leary is joining us here on the show. Finnegan's Flight Crew, we appreciate you. We have a YouTube Super Chat question coming in, so let's throw this up from Ace of Spade. He has a question for both of us here, so let's play it. Ace of Spade, thank you very much. We'll start off with you, Matt. Do you see any surprise cuts coming up here in the next couple of weeks? I do not believe we have waves anymore. I believe it is up to the team's discretion to go from 90 to 53 whenever they choose to do so. So are there any surprise cuts on the horizon you're anticipating?
When I got this question a few months ago, my answer for a surprise cut would be Michael Clemens was a name that I would bring up.
Wow.
But I don't think that's the case anymore. So I'm not gonna say that, just because I think he's had a very good camp. But the defensive line is a room that's going to be very difficult to narrow down. I don't know. The Jets, it kind of feels pretty chalk with who's going to end up making this team, I think, anyway. Was there a name that really stood out to you? Because I'm having a hard, like I said, my answer to this, if you asked me this 2 months ago, I probably would have said Michael Clemens, but I don't think I'm there at this point anymore. So everything else kind of feels chalk to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's not some like big money veteran that could suddenly be released that I foresee as some sort of a cap casualty. I always thought the Lazard stuff, the only way that was possible if Lazard was a malcontent and he was just being the same kind of jerk he appeared to be at the end of last year, where people have accused him of quitting on the team, lack of effort, those kind of things. Like, that could be a very negative, cancerous, infectious kind of thing in the locker room where the vibes are good except for him. And he was playing poorly. I felt like that was the only combination where the Jets rip off the Band-Aid and say, get lost. We're just going to give that spot to Jason Brownlee or insert your guy. But actually, again, as we talked about on the show yesterday, Lazard has had this, surprising return to form. He was going to be better, assuredly, with Aaron Rodgers returning. But to this level of commitment and things of that nature, I was kind of like, okay, not bad. So that part of it, I really appreciated. I'm seeing people in the chat are immediately saying, like, guys like Jason Brownlee. He's a guy that a lot of the insiders over the last couple of months said, dark horse. He's looking awesome, dark horse. Saleh said he kind of had a slow start to training camp, but he's picking up steam. So I guess Jason Brownlee can fit on that. Teams, I think, are going to be on the outside hovering around the defensive line cuts to see who's gone, because I think, once again, we're going to have one of those situations where we're going to get roster transaction, Jets cut, insert players, 24 hours later, insert guys who were picked up off of waivers. I think that's going to be a very popular thing. So I'd say defense. I'm a big Michael Clemens fan, so I think he's certainly making it. To your point, you said you've kind of evolved on that take from what it was a couple of months ago based on moves the New York Jets have made. So probably, is it one of those UDFAs? But again, how is that a surprise cut? It's a surprise if they make it in a lot of respects when you look at the analytics. Safety maybe. Who is going to be the extra guy? Again, is that Jalen Key? But he was Mr. Irrelevant. So now I feel like we're stretching for some of these names, Matt, to be honest.
Like, would you classify Izzy Abanikanda as a surprise cut?
To be honest, it would, all the beatdown that unfortunately he has got there. And now the surprising Tariq Cohen news, to be honest, So pre-camp, I had Izzy. I did a 53-man article for Heavy, and I had Izzy making it. I'm like, despite all the noise, I think he's just going to figure it out. Former 5th-round draft choice, and I think he's just going to figure it out. And then all the Tariq Cohen stuff, I'm like, oh boy, all right, let's start writing the epitaph for Izzy. It's over. Tariq Cohen is either going to be on the practice squad or the back end of this roster with everything he's providing. Then a surprise, he's gone. I'm like, man, okay, maybe the Jets are keeping 4 backs, and you have Bodden gone now, so no fullbacks. So no, it would be hard to categorize Izzy as a surprise just based on all the commentary we've had the last couple of months, Matt.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's why, like, in my head, I'm going through the roster and trying to think of like who's going to end up getting cut, and the best one I was able to come up with like is someone who they drafted a year ago, technically a surprise cut, but I'm with you. I don't think I would classify him as that either.
Yeah, by the way, a lot of people are saying, what? I thought Frankie Louvu was in Carolina. Yeah, he signed a 3-year, $36 million contract. Talk about great news for Frankie with the Washington Commanders this offseason. So he got the bag. He has totally turned his career around. And again, he was always one of our favorite, like, David Clowney guys. Frankie Louvu, let's root for this guy. And yeah, he has gotten the bag. So he is a starter on the Washington Commanders defense. So again, shout out to Frankie Louvu for that. He is spectacular. Also, the other news that came out is Jaden Daniels, the number 2 overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft. He will be playing in the first preseason game here against the New York Jets. What do you make of that? That we're going to, it's some extra juice and extra storyline to already a game we're all anticipating because it's the first preseason game for the New York Jets.
Yeah, not crazy surprising. I think the young quarterbacks kind of need to play. I know Caleb didn't play in the Hall of Fame game, but
correct, yes,
not wild to see that Jaden Daniels is going to play in this one. And tough test. I know that, not all the Jets starters are going to be playing on defense, but it doesn't matter. The Jets are pretty deep on that side of the football, and there's talent in their second and third string guys. So I think it's going to be tough for him. But as someone who's even just an NFL draft fan and, just an NFL fan, you always kind of want to see these rookie quarterbacks and, see where they are to an extent. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. He's a second overall pick, see what kind of level he's at right now, if he's ready or not. And, and kind of go from there.
Interesting. So let me throw it over. Speaking of quarterbacks, let's go to the Rodgers side. So Salah said Rodgers definitely not playing in the Commanders or Panthers game. Like, definitely not even up for debate. Now, maybe the Giants. And in the Giants, for those who forgot last year, he played in 2 drives, and the second one ending in a Garrett Wilson beautiful touchdown on the left side of the end zone there, which was terrific. Are you a for Aaron Rodgers? Again, it's so divisive among Jet fans and analysts and enthusiasts. Some people are like, oh, good Lord. No, bubble wrap him, keep him away from that. Others say, let's let him get some of the kinks out and let's rev the engine a little bit and go through it, even if you're only going to play a drive or two, depending on the results. Are you for Aaron Rodgers playing in the preseason or against?
If Aaron Rodgers wants to play in the preseason, okay, I'm for. I'm kind of like, whatever he feels that he needs to be the
default
most ready. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Then whatever that is, I'm okay with. Now, I'm not saying play the whole game, but if he wants to have two drives, I think is my limit. You get 2 series on offense, and that's about it. But from his sound, it's it sounded like he wants to play or would like to play. So if he wants to drive, I'm good with that. Again, I'm not saying he's playing a half or anything crazy like it used to be, but if he wants to play a couple drives, that's fine with me.
Actually, I just want your reaction to a fan. I don't have the comment specifically, but a fan. So this came up obviously a couple days ago when Salah addressed it. And, I was like, I'd love to see him play a drive or two. If he wants to play, that'd be great. And I had a fan say, well, if he's going to play a drive or two, why not just play the whole game? And I'm like, so I throw that to you, Matt, before I paint you with my already looks and zoinks and other words that burst out of me. A fan saying, if he's playing a drive or two, why not the whole game of preseason, Matt?
Well, because the opposing teams are not going to play their starters the entire time, and I don't want some third string undrafted free agent defensive lineman looking to make a play and make the team going buck wild and trying to take Aaron Rodgers' head off. There's kind of an understanding with the starters that you're using it to get up to speed. which is kind of why Rodgers was a little pissed at Jihad Ward last year when he had that late shot at him. Like, that's kind of just an unspoken understanding on saying like it's flag football or anything like that, but no one's trying to, go over the top. It's kind of just, as I said, get up to speed thing. So yeah, I don't want him against non-starters like what happened with Mark Sanchez in the preseason in 2013. That Rex Ryan puts him in the fourth quarter and he gets hurt. So not great.
Definitely not great. No, and that's what I think. I think some of those players, right, these preseason games, and that's why, if we get the 18th game, we're likely to get less preseason action, things of that nature. I think the preseason is so important. I enjoy it thoroughly. I know there are some Jet fans who don't give a flying hoot and are not going to watch, and that's fine. But to me, I love it because it is hard knocks for us. It's these stories of guys that are trying to make it, whether to the 16-man practice squad over to the 53-man roster. But the thing I worry about are the headhunters, because roster guy number 55 says, if I make a play on Aaron Rodgers, they're going to be talking about me. And then all of a sudden you're headhunting and doing all kinds of crazy crap. It's like, maybe not. Maybe not. But I am looking forward to the preseason action. But yeah, for Rodgers, again, whatever he wants. And based on the comments, it sounds like Rodgers does want to play at least a little. So we'll see what happens there. All right, everybody, we're going to open up the phone lines. The phone lines are now open. It is the pinned comment on YouTube. So if you'd like to call into the show and ask this handsome bastard, Matt or Larry, how is he so handsome, or perhaps anything Jets related, feel free to dive in on the phone lines and do so. That is the way to do it. If you're watching on Heavy on Jets, the Facebook page or Twitter, you have to hop on over to YouTube to call into the show. And also, we're 12 members away from our next emoji baby. So maybe we can get some of those going here on the channel. Play some draft jobs. Get some chutzpah happening, perhaps. Make sure you guys call into the show, and we'll play some of that action, too. Again, 12 members away from the next emoji. It's already made. Shout out to Snowball. But to unlock it, we must reach 12 more members. All right, let's jump on over to the phone lines. We got a few callers. All right, we go to Ricky, New York, live here on the show. What's up, Ricky? Good morning.
Hey, what's happening? How you doing today, Paul? How you doing, Matt?
Good.
Good. Yeah, getting settled into your new digs, getting the new studio all set up.
Yeah, we're fully a go in the studio. Some minor projects still around the house, but for the most part, all settled in now.
Awesome. Good to hear. A little bit jealous. I wish I could just settle into a new space. I'm actually having to build my studio, like partitioning off a room, and it's a chore. I thought the construction work part of my life was over with, but I guess not. At any rate, was there anything? I was curious. Was there anything that stood out to you as far as like our young guys that maybe we haven't touched on? I know that some people were saying that Sherwood looks like maybe he has taken another step. It was crazy because prior to him getting hurt, I had heard that Gibson had really taken some steps and was really looking good before he got hurt. But I'm going like glass half full guy with that, because next guy up, this is giving Corley an opportunity to get some extra reps and get out there and maybe get acclimated a little bit faster. I'm wondering if there's anybody that stood out to you that maybe we haven't touched on yet.
Yeah, I think you brought up a couple of good ones with the linebacker room and Jamie and Sherwood. But supposedly the battle for the fourth linebacker spot is kind of one that's up for grabs between Chaz Surratt and Zaire Barnes. I think both those guys have had a good camp as well. And Zaire Barnes, someone that they drafted last year. So obviously they liked him enough to use a draft pick on him. But Chaz Surratt, I just remember last season during Hard Knocks how much Robert Saleh talked him up and how much he liked himself some Chaz Surratt. So I think that's a sneaky, tough decision. Not that the fourth linebacker is necessarily going to make or break this season, but I feel like that's one that doesn't really get talked about a lot. And both those guys, I think, have looked pretty good so far at training camp.
Right on. Okay, excellent. Being all the way down here in Florida, I don't get to make it to training camp in person, so I've got to rely on you guys to be my eyes and ears out there. So definitely appreciate you guys' insight. So Thank you. Congrats on the new place. Congrats on the upcoming marriage. And you guys have a great morning.
Thank you, Ricky.
Right. Thank you, Ricky, for that. That's right. Matt put a ring on it, so to speak, and he is off the market. Everyone's, you better grab a Jets content creator, ladies or men, out in the social media street. Connor Rogers off the market, Matt O'Leary off the market. I mean, they're getting grabbed up left and right. So again, getting while the getting's good, Matt.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how many single Jets content guys are left here.
That's a good point. They are running out quick. They are running out quite quick. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Got a lot of calls here. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys, again, like the video, hit subscribe. We're up to 500 people in the room. We appreciate the chutzpah. Like I said, like the video, hit subscribe. And also, the top link in the YouTube description is how to join the Boy Green Coffee Club. So click some of that action and become a member of the program. We got Brandon here in the car. What's up, Brandon?
Howdy. How are y'all doing this morning?
Excellent, sir.
Good. So I have two questions. The first one pertaining to the offensive line as a whole with the guys that we're seeing that are starting at the moment. In your opinion, and this is for Boy Green and for Matt, do you think our offensive line compared to the other 31 teams in the NFL, are they considered average, above average, below average? I'm kind of leaning towards average, but I just kind of wanted your thoughts on that. You guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, for me, I agree with you. I think average is where I'm going to put them for now, with the potential to be above average. I kind of want to see it a little bit first before I make that jump. It's just because, you know, on paper, I think they have a lot of talent and a lot of potential, but there's also injury risk with this line. So that's part of the reason why I can't put them anything higher than average for right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I would, just to jump on that, I would say, because as far as we know, they're all healthy right now. I will assume the glass half full here until they're injured, until something happens. This is an above average group. This group can be a top 10 unit, baby. Tyron Smith was a second team All-Pro last season. That is an elite list of guys. This is not a legacy player. This isn't a guy that is kissing baby, signing autographs on this final retirement tour. He's still playing at an elite level right now, and he is perhaps the greatest pass blocker in NFL history. He is a superstar. And then you look at the rest of the line. Obviously, the tipman snapping things, that's a concern. But let's see what happens here at joint practice. Are we getting those kind of tweets? Then maybe my worry will get to a legitimate level, or the preseason games, or some of that action happening. And Morgan's just a pro's pro, man. He is just rock solid. And I love having rock solid guys, because as Damon Woody and so many others have said that have either played the position or observed football, you don't need all pros at every position. But damn it, if you look at this group, Tyron Smith already has been an All-Pro, obviously, in his past. And then AVT, the thing we always say, if healthy. And now he's staying at the position he was supposed to when he came into the league at guard. I feel great about this group, especially because I've been playing Madden. Some people have been, seeing me on the Madden lives on YouTube. I've been getting smacked with a rusty wrench, which has been less than ideal. But while this is happening, I'm like, wow, look at that offensive line, for God's sakes. I can't wait till the new Madden comes out, apparently like a week or two, and I can play with the new offensive line. And Aaron Rodgers ain't going to be touched. I got a personal protection here. These security guards are the best of the best. So that part I'm looking really forward to. I will go above average. I believe this is a top 10 unit in football.
Oh yeah. I agree. I think injuries just in the past is what's kind of holding us back as to really people thinking, wow, this is a great offensive line, because as Jets fans, we really feel like we know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We really feel like we've got a good group, but people are just like, oh, you're biased or whatever, but I think we do have a good group.
And before you get to your other question, Brandon, like, for instance, we have Yo Holmes. What a beautiful YouTube name. He says, Olu is a rookie starting left tackle for 96% of the entire NFL today. And I didn't mention that with Matt, because that was the rest of the question from Salah. At the end was like, hey, in a perfect world, does Olu not play this year? And so I was like, yeah, that's a plan. Hopefully not, because that would obviously equate to Tyron Smith being fully healthy. So to have this break the glass emergency number 11 overall pick to match point that is this pass protector that could have started from day one if the Jets would have had different pieces. I mean, that to me is another reason that I feel so great about this unit, that it's not the Pillsbury Doughboy. I poke him in the belly button, all the wind's going to come out like, poo-hoo! It's not going to be any of that action. There is some, I feel great about those guys in terms of the depth.
Yes, exactly. I completely agree on that. And speaking of Madden, it's coming out next Monday.
Next Monday, okay. Thank you for the update. I'm normally more on that. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the MVP, kind of like I bought it with the NCAA game. So
the early days.
Yeah, so you get access. Okay, and so the second question, Matt, you're probably out of the woods on this, because the other day I called in and I was a little hyped up just to give you some insight, and I was like, Brees is the best running back in the NFL. Garrett Wilson's the best wide receiver in the NFL. Quentin Williams is the best in the NFL. Like, I went through all these positions. Well, I let my friends watch the video, and they're like, "Were you smoking crack before you got on?" And they're like, and my friends, one of them's a Dolphins fan, the other one's a Broncos fan. I'm not getting any love from them.
Sorry to hear that. That's unfortunate on your friend taste, but
I'll just tell you, my Dolphins friend, he has not been talking shit here lately. He's a little scared for this season. But anyway, so I do feel, after talking to them, and I do think Garrett Wilson is going to end up being the best wide receiver, but as of right now, today, with nothing to back me up on that, I feel like Brees is in the top 5. I feel like Garrett Wilson is in the top 5. I feel like Quentin is probably number 2 in defensive tackles. Maybe Chris Jones is the only one. And, of course, Sauce, I feel like he's number 1. How many other teams in the NFL have that many players that are, top 5 in the league? And maybe y'all may correct me on some of those players that I think's in the top 5.
I would add Quincy Williams. You didn't mention. Where's he in the linebacker conversation? I would say
exactly. And I know he's he's under the radar now. It's like,
for sure, somehow as a first team All-Pro. Yeah.
As for Jets fans, we're all on them, but I'm like, does Kansas City? They've got Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes, and if you want to count coaches, I'd say they have one of the best coaches. Sure. But I'm like, what other teams do you guys think have that many top 5? I guess that's my question. Have that many top 5 players on their roster? Can you think of any, or
Matt, think of some. One off the top of my head, the Dallas Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb. He might be the best receiver in football. I think Dak Prescott's up there. People hate him for whatever reason. Micah Parsons is a freak. Trayvon Diggs has to be like top 10 probably. You start going through that, they're a very top-heavy roster. We talked about Pillsbury Doughboy. You poke that one in the belly button. We're going to lose some juice on that team. But, the Cowboys would be one off the top of my head. Go ahead, Matt. You got anybody else?
Yeah, I was thinking, you mentioned the Chiefs. I think that's a fair one. Maybe the Eagles. I feel like that's one of the better rosters in the NFL also.
49ers, obviously, right? Christian 49ers. McCaffrey, Fred Warner, go through that list. They got a lot of dudes. Yep. 49.
And that's probably about it for me. I don't know if there's too many more that I could really... Bengals with Burrow and Chase maybe, but that's only 2. I don't think they really have that elite talent anywhere else.
Lions, I guess they have Penei Sewell. He's phenomenal. Amon-Ra St. Brown is terrific. I'm not quite there on Jahmyr Gibbs yet, but a lot of people are pretty excited about him. But we're nitpicking, obviously. It goes to your point of the position the Jets are in, I would say.
Well, Boy Green, I feel like if you need to drop a code word, if your dad is sitting there with a gun pointed at you right now, telling you to say all that about the Cowboys, type something in the comments, let us know, we'll send help, but but hey guys, I appreciate y'all having me on and answering the questions. And Boy Green, I love that hat. One of these days,
oh yeah, baby,
one of these days when your dad's on, I'll have to tell my Dallas Cowboys Hall of Fame story.
Oh, sign me up, baby. That'd be great. Thanks for the call, Brandon.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah,
No problem.
there we
Have a
go.
good one.
Speaking of this hat, I got it when me, Matt, and Jake were all hanging out last year. I got to the Hall of Fame shop and I said, I'm walking out of this store with something, which normally is not a great negotiating ploy. When you come into the store, I'm coming out with something. And I had to get the Fame hat and polo combo. Very, very nice. All right, Matt, let's also get here another super chat here on the channel, and it's this. And we talk about prisoner of the moments. Sometimes we don't want to do a certain thing, Matt. We got this from Phil. So I'll just have to interpret the question from earlier. It says, Paul, Matt, thoughts on my first question beginning of the chat. And I believe the question he's referencing, because he threw several questions in there, but it was Will McDonald ? Bust alert. And he was throwing that out into the universe. That seems a little aggressive since he played the fewest amount of snaps of any Jets first rounder since Vernon Gholston last year was how many snaps. And it looks like he's in for a large uptick this year. So it seems hard to judge based on that. But Matt, go ahead and respond to that.
Yeah, I'm not ready to sell my Will McDonald stock. I think he's going to be a good player this year. And even if it's more just like 40 to 45% of snaps and kind of in just obvious pass rushing situations, I thought we saw him be pretty successful last year in a very small sample size, right? Only 19% of snaps. But when he was put out there, I thought he played really well. And I'm not out on him yet. I do think it's a little strange, the comments and the takes on his weight. Like, I don't know what the Jets were expecting when they drafted a 24-year-old edge rusher at 235, 240 pounds and thought like, oh, he's going to magically put on 10 pounds. Like, you're kind of done at that point. Like, your body is what it is. It's not like he was a 20-year-old kid still growing, but I still, even if he is on the smaller side and playing around 240, I think he could still be a successful pass rusher in this league.
Yeah, the thing I forgot, apparently, I think it was Rich Samini who wrote the column. Apparently, Will McDowell must have told the media, it might have been in a one-on-one session, so I can't really speak to it. But I believe it was Rich who said, Will McDowell said he's going into this offseason that just happened and is ending, obviously, here with the preseason, that he was hoping to be in the 250, 255 range. So he was trying to soup up. And then obviously he didn't. Salah said he's the same weight that he was. So I don't know if there was a communication thing or to Salah's point, he made this great, kind of rant about Javon Kinlaw adding 35 pounds of lean muscle with that bizarre diet. And then, but he said to a reporter said, well, isn't adding that kind of weight bad? Because then he's going to be heavier and all these things. And Salah gave us some cool football-ese because Salah's a really smart dude. So it's cool to hear him talk about this stuff. And he said, well, the key to that is we want to add as much weight as possible, but not take away any of the speed. He said, if he was a slug out there, that'd be bad. But he said, we've done all this analytical stuff, long story short, that we could add this weight and keep the speed. The speed's been the same. So he didn't say it about Will McDonald, but maybe that's something about Will McDonald's superpower being this crazy Gumby like thing. Like Matt O'Leary, for instance. Look at this guy. Look at this chiseled David. Okay, if we just started to throw on this weight on, will we lose some of the speed of Matt O'Leary? He's got this Gumby like lanky body with a great wingspan and things. If we just added weight, we would lose some of the elite speed that he brings to the table. If anyone has seen some of those videos on social media viral of the Matt O'Leary workouts in that park with thousands of fans in attendance, that could be an issue if you're adding that kind of weight, Matt. You're probably the better person to answer this sort of thing.
This is if I put on another 20 pounds, like that would not be good for me. I would not carry that well, as opposed to someone like a Will McDonald or Javon Kinlaw, who I think can carry an additional 20 pounds significantly better.
Yeah. So great insights there. Again, Matt O'Leary, he provides a little bit of everything on the show when he pops on. Again, he's on here for a few more minutes, guys. So keep the super chats and calls coming. We still have several calls to get to. Also, like I said, feel free to join the Boy Green Coffee Club. You guys can do that at the top link in the YouTube bio. Okay, we go to our next caller here. Big Green, maybe it's my long up, that one just disappeared. Okay, so we'll go to the next caller here. We got B-Mac here on the show. What's up, B-Mac, our fellow Jet fan enthusiast?
Hey guys, Paul, Boy Green, good morning. Matt O'Leary, it's great to see y'all this morning.
I love these headlines, right? So for people that watch a video, I know there's a lot of people who just listen to this as a podcast. So it says Paul Boygren Jr., New York Jets digital reporter for Evie.com. Matt O'Leary at Matt O'Leary NY. That's where you can follow. BMAC, F the haters. Very blunt, very direct. I respect it. What's up, BMAC?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Well, I was gonna take that off. I plan to have it under temporary, but it's like, what? Why not?
YOLO.
I,
Yeah, there
I
you go. That's a
yeah,
spirit.
I just have it on there. Like Sai said, if you don't have haters, you ain't popping. And
There you go,
it
Salah.
seems like it seems like this off season, the Jets have a lot of haters, man.
Sure.
This will play Tupac me against the war.
Sure,
because,
that would be fitting.
Yeah. But the other thing is, I do got a question, but first I want to get this out of the way. I think yesterday after after my call, Johnny said that Rodgers had more passing yards than Dak.
He does not. I looked it up after. So, yeah. So, Matt Alert, to include you in the conversation, a very inside joke here, I suppose. So, my father is this diehard Cowboys fan, and people have accused him of being an Aaron Rodgers hater. They've Jake Asman made a room called Rodgers Derangement Syndrome where they could put my dad in a padded room, and Gator made a video about it. So, I mean, again, there's been a lot of hoopla, but him and BMAC have been getting after it, Cowboys-Packers guys. And, my dad brought two stats to the table. He said, hey, who's had more passing yards that's coming into the league since 2016, Dak or Rodgers? And he said, oh, yes, it was Dak. Who's had more wins since coming to the league, Dak or Aaron Rodgers? Ah, Dak. And then, Johnny did say incorrectly that actually he checked the numbers and Aaron Rodgers had more. That's not true. Dak's had about 3,000 yards more. I ended up doing the math, pulling out the calculator, doing the numbers. So, yes, Dak does win those. But again, I would reiterate, those are cherry pick stats. It seems very odd to use it. Playoff wins. We could go to a lot of other Super Bowl championships. Want to do that since both entering the league? Like, come on, like let's get different stats. That's what I would say. But yes, Johnny was incorrect. I double checked the numbers. So yes, Dak won both of those against Aaron Rodgers. If somehow that was a pissing contest, yes.
Yeah, but it doesn't, like, if you want to do that, then Dak had more than Patrick Mahomes. Then if you want to do that, so that means Dak's better than Patrick Mahomes. No,
right.
I mean, like I said, it's just cherry picking numbers. But the other thing is that I know he kind of called me out yesterday about being a Jet fan and Rodgers fan and all that stuff and the Packers.
Yeah, pretty bluntly.
Do you think it's wrong for me to root for the Jets and Rodgers and be a Packer fan? Like, do you think that's wrong?
Yeah, Matt, let me throw that to you. So he is a Green Bay Packers fan, but when Rodgers came over, he became a Jets guy. So now he supports both. Your thoughts?
Well, I think as long as, like, if the Jets and the Packers played each other, are you rooting for the Jets or the Packers?
Then I don't know, because I will be caught in the middle.
Okay, see, if your answer was, oh, then I'd root for the Packers, then I'd say that's legit. I'm with you. But I think I'm still going to say yes, but my rebuttal would be if the two teams play each other, you got to stick to the original Packers. But I'm good with, like, Aaron Rodgers is a Packers legend, so still following and supporting him on his new team, I don't think is an issue. That's fine with me.
Okay, very understanding guy. Love to see it.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. And Pop, this is we're Jet fans saying this. You're not a real Jet fan.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah. Rev his engine. That's always good for content. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Cowboys. The Cowboys haven't been to the championship game since what, 1996, something like that.
That's right. It was the season of 1995. It was the year 1996. That's correct.
Yeah, but also people want to make fun of the Jets for not, having success and making the playoffs.
Jets have been to plenty of championship games since those Cowboys. 2009, 2010,
exactly.
1998.
But people don't want to bring that up. I mean, people that know football actually know football. Don't want to bring that up. But yeah. But I do got football related questions, of course, to the Jets.
Shoot.
And it goes and it comes to Joe Tippmann. I know a lot of people want to be patient with them, and I'm still gonna be patient with them. Look, I think him and Rodgers, this is the first time between the two that they are actually feeling each other out. Because remember, last year they didn't play together. last year of training camp, Joe I think Joe Tippmann wasn't practicing as a starting center.
Definitely not. He was third string. He didn't become a starting, like, even when he eventually got into the lineup, which was week 3, which obviously is after Rodgers was already hurt, he was playing at guard. So yeah, he didn't get to center long after Rodgers stuff. Absolutely.
I do think he will get it figured it out because the guy is too much talented as to really be, like have those yips. But I think that you should bring in now if he does not like figure it out for some reason, and I'm not saying that he won't. I think he will, but if he doesn't, then maybe you should bring in Connor McGovern and move. And I'm not saying kick Joe Tippmann out of the starting lineup. Maybe move him to guard or something like that. You know what I mean? Maybe switch it up. What do you think about that idea? Because a lot of guys, like with the offensive linemen, like they play multiple positions. Like it's not just one dimensional. You know what I mean? Like me, like as a Packer fan, all offensive linemen used to mix guys up. You know what I mean? And I think Joe Tippmann can play guard as well. So if Joe Tippmann still have the hiccups with the snaps, maybe you should move him to guard, and I don't know. Somebody's going to have to be the odd man out.
Let's throw that over to you, Matt. Yeah, the Connor McGovern potential signing, kicking Tippmann somewhere else. What do you think?
I'm not ready to move Tippmann off of a starting spot and at center. I think he does figure it out. It seems like it's just a slight technical problem, but I'm not. I like Connor McGovern coming back to be a backup because I think he's better than Wes Schweitzer. So if you wanted to bring him in on the vet minimum again for insurance, I'm good with that, but I don't necessarily want to sign Connor McGovern to start him.
Yeah. And then one more before I head out. Tony Adams. I think people been. I think he's a big sleeper for y'all. I think he's really underrated. I watched every single Jet game last year, and I know he struggled in the beginning. But I think towards that Philadelphia game, he stepped up in big time, with that big INT. But he definitely really turned it up in the end. I think that he's gonna take a big jump, and I think he's really gonna have a big sophomore jump, and I think people are kind of underrating him a little bit. But what are your thoughts about Tony Adams, and do y'all think he can take it to the next level?
I'll just say I loved, shout out to Will Parkinson. He was at the scrimmage on Saturday. He asked this question to Saleh, and Saleh said the TA, and I would have never thought this based on interviews, that he's the biggest trash talker on the Jets defense, and he's been talking him up. I was like, okay, all right, a little bit of that TA action. He looks like he's the locked-in starter, and then Chuck Clark and Ashton Davis are slugging it out for the other starting gig, and he had a lot of splash plays last year. He had that pick against Philly that, again, if the Eagles get a first down on that, the Jets still would have never beaten Philadelphia before. So major shout out to TA, but I think consistency is the key for him. Matt, what do you make of TA?
Yeah, I think he has a chance to be better this year. I thought he was up and down last year. There were some nice moments, like you said, the game against Philly really stands out, but I think some consistency would obviously help him. Going into year 2 as a starter, I do think he improves, and I sneaky kind of like the Jets starting safeties. I like Chuck Clark a lot too. I think he's going to be an upgrade to Jordan Whitehead, but I think Tony Adams will be better this year.
All right, beautiful.
All right,
well, B-Mac,
that's it.
Thank you. I appreciate you, B-Mac. Thank you so much. All right, we have one more caller, but Matt, I'll let you get out of here, and appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much for coming on the show, showing off the new digs. Nice little flex here. I like it. Look at that, and feel free to promote. What do you got going on this week?
Yeah, all coverage of Jets training camp and the preseason game coming at you. So make sure to follow along at Matt O'Leary NY for your daily Jets updates.
And again, a future MTV Cribs episode. We need to see the rest of the house, Matt. What the hell is going on in that brand new mansion of yours? We need to see, but we can't wait, buddy. And we'll do this again soon. Thanks, pal.
Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
There he is, Matt O'Leary, NY, one of the best in the business. We have one more caller. Let's get to him. It's my boy, FL Phil 98, baby. What's going on, brother?
Good morning, Boy Green. I'm sorry that I just missed Matt, because part of the reason I called was I wanted his take on something.
Sorry about that.
No problem. I should have called earlier. I was real late today. I came in right at like the end of Ricky's call, so I missed pretty much everything. I'm going to have to go back and listen to this later.
Sure.
But the reason I actually called in was the whole thing between Pop and BMAC started with Derek Carr. Okay.
Right. Yes.
So I was really disappointed where it went yesterday, and I don't understand why your father went where he went yesterday. But what I was going to ask really of Matt was going all the way back to the beginning of the war of these two guys. Your father made what I thought was a cogent, reasonable argument that you could say the Jets may have been better if they had chosen Derek Carr. Now, that's where it started. That's really where it started. And I thought that the numbers that he gave and the reasoning behind it. So right now, you say, okay, Aaron Rodgers played 4 snaps last year, right? Okay. Yep. We don't know what's going to happen this year. If it's a failed year, if he gets hurt, whatever, you're going to be able to say your dad was 100% right. Should have went with Derek Carr. Now, if he wins the MVP and we win the Super Bowl, your dad was wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So that was really the argument. And what I was hoping was it was going to come back to listen.
Yes.
Just like when I called about what I actually said about Reddick. I wanted your father to say, here's what I actually said about Derek Carr, and let BMAC go on for 20 minutes about how Aaron Rodgers is better. That's not the argument. The argument is it's never been, just like Dak's not better than Aaron Rodgers. He's not. Okay. Are the Jets better with Dak, with a healthy Aaron Rodgers than they are with virtually anybody else? Yes, they are. But that remains to be seen. The argument he made was, here's a young guy who's put up pretty damn good numbers in his career. Could have got him for what by today's standard would have been a bargain for 4 years, 160. And who knows? And again, one point he did make yesterday, only briefly, was this team doesn't need Aaron Rodgers to win. They don't. Okay. I think this team could win with about half of the backups in the league. So that's all I wanted to say. And I wanted to hear what Matt O'Leary's opinion of what I just said was, but let me have yours.
Yeah, I think it's great because we haven't talked enough about this, about the key elements of the Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers thing. And it is, if you get Derek Carr, you don't give up the draft picks. What were the draft picks? People forget. It was the first-round pick swap of 13 and 15. A lot of people say the Jets would have taken Broderick Jones, the Georgia offensive tackle, not Will McDonald, which, by the way, would be something we're not even talking about right now. That would be at a minimum depth, and maybe you don't make the Morgan Moses trade. Maybe Broderick is your right tackle. Who knows what could have happened there? And then 2 second-round draft choices. When you take a second-round pick, that is supposed to be an impact player. Think about this. Breece Hall was a second-round pick. Now, there's Breece Halls and then there's Denzel Mims. So, I mean, obviously it could go both ways, but 2 second-round picks plus another offensive tackle, then you consider, again, the money of whatever it would have been for Derek Carr, which, again, is that 164 year. And then Rodgers, there's a compelling case to be made. You see this. Derek Carr, by the way, played in all 17 last year, and he's been a really relatively healthy guy outside of a couple of situations where the broken leg at the end of his near MVP year. People forget about that when the Raiders had Jack Del Rio and him doing his riverboat stuff with all these 4th down aggressive calls and things of that nature. There is an interesting case to be made if you evaluate that, not necessarily the other side of it, of one or the other. I agree.
Yeah, so if this is going to continue, because Pop had to jump off yesterday, my advice to Pop is stick to the script, man. Go back to what started this fight.
Right.
Yeah. And listen, I don't hate BMAC. Right? I bust balls on and all that. I don't hate BMAC. Everybody's got the right to be who they are and say what they want. I just think he was the one who was wrong and one who got emotional and insulting and all that stuff. Let the boys fight it out. That's all good. I just don't know why your dad went down the Dak Prescott cowboy thing. It made no sense to me.
Yeah, it is one of those. It's funny, like you go to a debate and it's this or this, and then all of a sudden, like A or B. Well, what about C? Like, whoa, wait, we came here for A or B. What happened here? It seemed like we
Yeah.
kind of got off course, and then there was no getting that shit back on course. So yeah, that is interesting that they ended up going in those waters, which again to me seemed like very random. The fact that BMAC happens to be an OG Packers fan, my father happens to be an OG Cowboys fan. You could take that for whatever you will if you want to filter how you perceive them based on those roots as they enter conversations. That's your own. I can't make people feel a certain way or not, but I think we should get to the roots of these takes, which necessarily doesn't have to premeditate the fact that one is a Packers guy and one is a Cowboys guy necessarily.
Absolutely. And real quick before I go, Brandon, I love Brandon's sense of humor, man. That guy's funny. Yeah. He really is. He comes up with some real good quick one-liners and quips and stuff. That guy's funny. And BMAC, look up the word cogent.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, I don't, Phil, you tell me. BMAC has called back into the show and he would like to talk to you. What would you want? Oh boy. Okay, here we go. All right, BMAC, welcome back to the program. Oh boy, here we go.
Hey guys, no, I'm gonna make this quick. All right, I don't want to hold up, but no, Phil. Hey, good morning to you.
Good morning.
No, I love you, man. You know, I'm a big fan of the old timers. You know what I mean? Because y'all know so much than we do, and y'all don't really, you know. Y'all don't really get into the gossip, you know, as the youngsters do, and y'all see football and you see more than football than us. But you know, I mean, I know you grew up in the, you know, like in the like 90s and 80s and all that stuff. So
60s, brother, 60s.
Yeah, so you see like actual football and how actual football was played back then, and you know, I mean, well. I do want to call in just to say that, look, I get where you're coming from. I wasn't, no, I didn't say that, you know, when I was going on about Rodgers and Carl when Paul Boy Green said what he said. And look, we can have our own opinions. Everybody can have their own opinions.
Sure.
That's what make this, you know, a life so fun. You know what I mean? Because if you agree with everybody else, then it would be boring. So it's good that people have their opinions so we can have discussions like this.
Right. But do you understand the difference between an opinion and somebody who's actually making a rational? I don't know if you know what the word cogent means. If you don't, look it up. It basically means rational, thought out. You know, there's a process involved to make a definite point. Okay. So yeah. I felt like that's what he did with Carr. Now, you don't have to agree with what he said. That's fine. Some people are going to say, you're crazy. Aaron Rodgers all day long. I get it. Nobody's saying Aaron Rodgers isn't better than Derek Carr. He's saying that if you go back 2 years, if you had signed Derek Carr, you might be better off, not just now, but in the long run, right? And I don't want to put this out in the universe, but let's say that Rodgers gets hurt again and he's done. Wouldn't we have been better off with Derek Carr? That's essentially what he was trying to say.
Okay, can I jump in? All right, can I say this? Because what you said and what he said, I don't like, because that's 2020 hindsight. So, first of all, look, I get what he said about, you know, and I know he said that Derek Carr is not a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers, because all of us that know football know that. You know what I mean? But what he said about, well, the Jets would have been in a better situation if they had Derek Carr. First of all, Rodgers, the Achilles thing was a freak.
Could have. It's a possibility. And I just want to
big difference here. It keeps coming back to the argument he was making is you can make the argument that the Jets should have done that. Now, is that hindsight? You're right. It is hindsight. But the subject matter came up because it came out that Derek Carr supposedly was interested in the Jets. The Jets were interested in him, and it went nowhere. And that story broke. And he made the argument that, hey, based on Rodgers going down in 4 plays, He's 40 years old. We don't know where this is going. If we could have got this guy, maybe that would have been the right choice.
Well, can I say this?
Sure.
Well, hold on, Paul.
Yeah. And one thing I just want to clarify here. I know. And one thing I just want to clarify here is that Derek Carr, and this is to me was groundbreaking. Like, what? We all knew Derek Carr visited the Jets. Derek Carr said essentially that he had a contract in front of him, and if he signs it, Aaron Rodgers never comes here. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't know if Derek Carr's telling the truth. Some people believe him, some people don't. I don't know why he would lie about it, but he said he had the control, so he could have signed if he wanted to, but Derek Carr, wanted to see the whole process. So it wasn't a Jet thing of them waiting up for Rodgers, which a lot of us thought. We thought the Jets said, hey, Carr, we're just doing our due diligence here. Hey, you're our backup plan, basically. If we can't trade for Aaron Rodgers because there's a lot of moving pieces there, then we'll come back to you. That's what we thought happened. Apparently, according to Derek Carr, he came to the Jets. He went through the whole thing. The Jets said, yeah, we'd love to have you. It's like, TBD. Let me see what happens. And then the ultimate argument is with a younger player and a guy that you wouldn't have had to give up draft picks for, which is also what Carr argued on the podcast. You would have had both of your second-round picks plus the first-round pick swap back, plus the money difference, whatever that would ultimately be, because like you have to factor in the Rodgers taking pay cut and things of that nature. Where would they be? Because Carr at the time of this decision was 29-30. And then you have, in theory, in today's day and age, he would have had a 7-8 year runway. We don't have that with Rodgers. So again, I think the thing that's getting mistranslated here or taken, I'll let you speak here in a second, B-Mac, is just that some people are saying, oh, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is better than Derek Carr. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is better than Derek Carr. But again, the entire situation, not just the two quarterbacks one-on-one, the team roster construction, age, considerations, all this stuff, your placement in the conference, all of that is part of this thing that everyone's debating here as I'm playing this middleman of trying to explain it. So go ahead, B-Mac.
Okay, first of all, yeah, I do get what y'all are saying 100%. And I do get that the logic y'all are trying to say, and I respect it. But first of all, you keep bringing, keep bringing up the 4 snaps and him getting hurt and toward his Achilles. Last year, nobody expected that to happen. Nobody expected him to go down in 4 snaps. And
that's not.
And hold on. Let me speak because I'll let you speak. Let me speak. Before last year, Aaron Rodgers was an Iron Man. He played the last 5 seasons.
Now let's talk in hindsight now.
Games. He played 8. Hold on. Let me speak because just let me get this, please. He played. Paul Boy Green brought it up. He played in 81 of 82 games. The one game he missed was COVID. Now, you saying that Rodgers is always can get hurt? Well. Are we sure? Is David Carr gonna get hurt? Is David Carr gonna, David Carr? If the Jets got David Carr, right, and David Carr and the same outcome happened, played 4 snaps and tore his Achilles, and Rodgers went to, let's say, the 49ers.
That's hypothetical. The other one is fact.
Yes, we understand that it is that this is all hindsight. That's the point. That Carr is giving us this information after the fact. So now it's just making all of us take a step back and say, what would have happened? So yes, it is all hindsight, but that's the whole point of it.
Yeah, but all this stuff is supposed to be visualist.
I'm just putting you on mute for a second, B-Mac. The only thing I'm just saying here is it is hindsight. This entire thing is hindsight. Derek Carr brought it up after the fact, so now we're just sitting here. None of us have a time machine. We can't literally reverse it. We are where we are. Whether Rodgers is going to be great or bad, we're stuck there no matter what. I think just with Derek Carr making those comments gave us an opportunity to continue the conversation in a what-if sense. Again, we can't change it. It is done. Carr is signed to the Saints. Aaron Rodgers is signed to the Jets. It's over. Again, just in that conversation, that was the basis of it. I think it's just different points of views. What you believe Rodgers is going to be with this team and what Derek Carr is. And I think Phil just said it beautifully. You can choose to agree or disagree. But you can make a take. You can have an argument. Like there could be an argument. Something could be right or wrong, but you can make an argument for an alternative option that coulda, shoulda, woulda happened in the past. And you could make a case. Hey, man, I know we went this way, but boy, if you do this, that's kind of interesting. And we debate, talk about it, and then we all walk away from, well, it didn't happen, but man, that could have been interesting. That's just the whole conversation. Again, that's a piece that I think was getting lost here. Am I wrong here, Phil?
No, I mean, I think that's most of it. The other thing is that one side was a rational, cogent, laid out, this is why I think it. The other one is, well, he could have broke his leg too, or this could have happened, or that could have happened. That's all hypothetical, right? And to continue to say Rodgers is better than Carr, yeah, okay, that's not what this is about.
Yeah. So long story short, the Jets are all in with Aaron Rodgers. We're all rooting for him to stay healthy and be awesome. And the first preseason games this week, and we're all fired up for it. This Carr thing.
Real quick, I want to just ask Phil real quick because I know you got to go, but
yeah, I do for the radio show. But go ahead.
I'm going to end it for this. You know, I don't know why people are blaming Rodgers for getting hurt. All right,
Nobody's blaming Rodgers for getting hurt. You're completely missing the point. Listen, Paul, you got to go. I got to go. Well, this is going nowhere. B-Mac, I love you, man. I wish I hadn't brought it up. Peace, love, and JETS.
Okay, there he is.
All right, Paul, I'm going to go. Bye.
Yeah, okay, see, guys. I just think that's for the best just to end the show there. We're just, no one's blaming Aaron Rodgers for getting hurt. He just got hurt. And again, we're referencing what happened. Again, that's the hindsight part of it. Seems like a weird thing to get upset about on August 5th. Again, we're just trying to have I think if this was a debate show, and in high school, there was debate class, and they said, Paul, we want you to argue for Aaron Rodgers, why he'd be great on the Jets. Paul Austin Sr., we want you to argue for Derek Carr. I think we could both bring wonderful pros and cons to the table, and I go, here's my take. Here are the positives. Carr's younger. You wouldn't have lost the draft picks. This. Now, Rodgers, better player. You're going all in. You want the best possible quarterback. It's a quarterback-driven league. I think if you would have laid out both arguments, I think someone in the middle would have went, okay, I hear you, senior. Okay, I hear you, junior. Both well-argumented, well thought out. Interesting. Okay, and then, boop, books closed. That's it. That's what I think, again, has just kind of really blown up and got lost here. So thank you for that. Well, everybody, have a wonderful Monday. God bless America. We have Jets Commanders preseason football later this week. It should be a doozy. We'll be back tomorrow for Boy Green Daily at 7:30 in the morning. Play the chimes, baby. Sure. Let's do it. It's a final way to do it. Thank you to the 600 people that are watching live right now. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe, and show your support. We appreciate you. Take